Hi, my name is Anthony Deischer, and this is my final project for the CSCI S-159 final project for Harvard University. Today I'm going to talk about the major CrowdStrike failure and outage that was caused in July of 2024. So I'm going to go over what it was, my experience a little bit, the root cause, how it was not a cyber attack, uh, but it was used as a springboard for other cyber attacks. What the remediation was, the phishing and the hacking attempts in the aftermath, and some of the lessons learned. So what exactly happened? On July 19th of 2024, a faulty CrowdStrike Falcon sensor update, which is their software that they run on Windows machines. It's their agent that they run on the end user machines. Um, they had a bad software update, and it caused 8.5 million Microsoft Windows to crash, displaying the dreaded blue screen of death, which we have all seen, over the past couple decades of when Windows really crashes. Blue screen comes up, and we're like, uh-oh, something's really going on here. So this attack, not attack, but it was this failure was described as the largest IT outage in history, and impacted airlines, banks, hospitals, and a lot more businesses, including mine. It cost Fortune 500 companies estimated $5.4 billion. This map right here is the misery map that Newsweek put out of major airports and how many, as a percentage wise, how many flights were on time and how many were miserable because they were delayed or just canceled. I was one of those. So I was in the airport around on July 19th, 2024, waiting for a 1 p.m. flight to go to Vegas. And I was going there for a celebration weekend. Our kids and grandkids were on a flight just about 2 hours behind us. My flight got canceled. I'm sorry, my flight got delayed, but their flight got canceled. I got out after maybe 3 hours of delay, but when they got to the airport, their flight was just canceled there, and they called me up and were like, "Hey, our flight got canceled." I'm like, "What do you want to do?" They're like, "I guess we're gonna road trip it." So luckily they were in driving distance from San Diego to Vegas, so they just drove there and showed up at like 2 in the morning. So, being this was my birthday and I had the day off, and it was a Friday, it was a work day, I didn't have to deal with the aftermath at my job of fixing this problem for our end users. So what is CrowdStrike? CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity technology company. They specialize in cloud native endpoint protection or antivirus that talks to a portal in the cloud. They're known for their threat intelligence, their cyber attack response services, and what they really excel at is digital forensics. So when you do get hit by a cyber attack, the forensics built into the tool can really help you determine how they got in, how long they've been there, and so forth. I've studied a little bit about this, and I thought it was pretty impressive once you start to really learn about the administration of it. So the scope of the outage, it affected airlines, banks, hospitals, stock exchanges, emergency services. It impacted pretty much the whole globe, North America, South America, Europe, Asia, China, Russia, and about 60% of the Fortune 500 companies and half of the Fortune 1000 companies were affected. What was the cause of the outage? A faulty update to the end user or the end user's computer. There was a bug in the code, so they wrote an update for their code in C++, and it caused an improper validation leading to memory access leaks, and it crashed the system. And it only affected Windows 10 and Windows 11 system that were running their Falcon sensor. Mac OSs and Linux were unaffected by this, luckily for them. So why it escalated was because the Falcon sensor works at the kernel level of Windows, which is the deep buried part of the operating system. It doesn't run in memory, on a easily thing to kill. So the automatic updates without delayed prevented the organizations from stopping the rollout. So the Falcon sensors basically said, hey, as soon as there's an update available, just automatically update it. There wasn't an option to say, let us test it first, let us try it on a few computers. So by default, it just says, just update it as soon as it comes up. And then it required a BitLocker key to remediate. And I don't know if you've ever done this, and I've done this a few times, where I had to put in a BitLocker recovery key, and it's really long, and it takes a long time to type in and double check. And having to do this for hundreds of computers, it's really time consuming. So CrowdStrike did come out with a patch, but it didn't come out till my local time till like 10:22 at night. The process was to boot into safe mode, delete faulty .sys file, put in the BitLocker recovery key if it required that. And Microsoft and AWS came out with a USB-based tool that said, okay, download this, plug it in, boot from the USB, and this will fix it. But it took a while for them to come out and then to get the instructions. The cyber criminal sees the opportunity of this. So once they saw, hey, there's tens of thousands of people that need support for this, that's when the phishing emails started going out, and the social media posts on Twitter and Facebook. They exploited this, causing confusion. They set up fake domains like CrowdstrikeBlueScreen.com or CrowdStrikeFix.com and pointed people to that. Said, oh, here, call our help support line and we'll help you out. And as soon as they did that, to pay for the support, I'm sure they started stealing money from people, and especially elderly people fall for this more than most, unfortunately. So what went wrong? The over-reliance of single-point solutions created a single point of failure. So a faulty update from a critical vendor that is used globally on all your systems, it can cause damage. Like literally every computer we have has this on it. So it became a big deal. The inadequate testing of the updates and the lack of null pointer checks in code. We talked about this a lot in class, of input validation when you're writing code to make sure that anything new doesn't cause an opportunity for it to fail. Insufficient vendor transparency and delayed update rollout options. They didn't have an option to say, okay, well, just roll out 10% of it to the company this hour and then another 10% the next hour. It was kind of rolled out all at once, which is why it was so effective. And the weakness in supply chain and patch chain management processes. That's one of those processes that helps you hit. Like on Microsoft used to have a patch Tuesday. I don't know if they still do or not. I never patched my computers on Tuesday. Being in IT, I'd always wait like a week and see, keep an eye on the internet, see if their update broke anything, because there were a lot of times that it did. Preventing future outages. Some of the techniques would be, maintaining your offline backup keys for those BitLocker recovery keys, implementing stage updates, network segmentation so it doesn't just blast out across your whole network and flood everywhere. Building resilience would be to conduct regular employee training on phishing and social engineering. This is protecting yourself from some of these phishing attacks and hacker attacks. So when this does happen, when you're scared and scrambling around, you're not falling for this because you're not thinking straight. So if you have this training, that would definitely help. Having multi-factor authentication for all your sensitive systems. So if someone does get in your system, they can't just use a username and password to log into critical systems. Diversify third-party vendors to reduce dependency on single providers. So if you have more than one antivirus provider, then let's say you use two, and in theory, maybe only half of your systems might have been down, and you've been able to still limp along your business for the day until the fix came along. And establish robust vendor management and supply chain security audits. Moving forward, the July 2024 outage exposed vulnerabilities and interconnected systems throughout the world. Collaboration between CrowdStrike and Microsoft happened, but it was real slow. Actionable steps would be diversify solutions, strengthen testing, educate users to prevent future incidents, and the call to action would be to review your organizations and security's resilience today. And that about wraps it up. That's my 10 minutes. Thank you very much for the class. See you next time. Bye.